So 4:30, bring the meeting to order. First, we do have a quorum. We approved the minutes of, goodness, that's a while ago, September 20th.
I approve those minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor? Aye.
I
Lauren?
Aye. Aye.
Mostly this meeting is for an update on our three projects, to make sure the committee knows where we're at and where we're going, and first update will be on the municipal health center building. I just spoke with Pete McPherson just a little while ago to get an update on how they're going with their schedule and timing for opening the new health center. He says that hopefully by the middle of May, he will be doing a final cleanup and going through and doing his punch list, so that by the end of May, we can have mostly all of it done.
Wow,
It's really nice.
So,
It's
yeah.
great.
it really is.
It really is. Yeah.
They're gonna push for doing the paving about the middle of May, so that'll be. And I think that Beth was supposed to be here to give us her take on the update, on the transition.
Yeah.
But they don't see her on,
Can Dory do it?
Sure,
okay?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. We just had a meeting for the grant prior and sort of touched base on things as well. I think some of the big things are, Paige and the telephones.
Oh, yeah.
He's working on and ordering computer equipment. And then the mid-mark, items, the exam tables, they're quite heavy, are coming the week of May 5th.
And they
Along-
can go right in.
Yep, they can go right in, Mid-Mark sets them up.
Yep.
Also the wall-mounted computer stations for the exam rooms will go in. And the wall-mounted, they call them wall boards that go next to the exam tables for the vital signs. Otoscope will go in. I just peeked through the windows, it's now locked and secure.
Huh.
The front doors are really nice, I didn't know what to expect there, but they're a beautiful blue.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Almost like a slate kind of blue and clear glass. And the glass in between the, like the clerical staff and the, waiting room is in.
Wow.
And the cabinetry for the, where Brandy's gonna sit is in. And the provider offices are in. The apartment still needs to be done. And the, staff conference room. And I think everybody already knows all the mid-mark cabinetry is installed and beautiful. It is like exceeded expectations.
The counters, everything is so nice.
Yep.
Everything is really top
Well
shelf.
done.
Yeah.
Right, so Beth has worked really closely with Jen Hayden to make sure all the invoices for the equipment and the grant funds are submitted and received and logged and so forth, so that's, yeah, that committee has worked really hard and done a great job. So, you know, we're hoping that by the end of May, things will be wrapped up. And we're in the process of thinking about how we're gonna stock, there's mobile carts that go in each room. Underneath the countertop, how we're gonna stock those, starting to get labels ready for the pharmacy. So May is gonna be quite busy, we're planning to do only urgent visits at the health center. Trying not to do anything that maybe can be done sooner or later. And then hopefully opening in June, barring any complications. We still have, you know, the refrigerators to order, the range in the apartment and the hood need to be installed.
Who's
There's,
gonna do that? That's not Ledgewood, is it?
Uh,
is it?
think they're gonna
Should
put
be.
in the,
I don't think so, at least the hood kind of stuff, you would think that
Yeah.
would be theirs.
And the range just needs to be plugged in,
Yeah.
it's electric, so that shouldn't be complicated. And Jordy and Tom have helped with getting equipment here. The waiting room chairs have arrived. Those will need to be put together. I think Jane and Barry Warren said they'll be available to help with that. We still have to order the office, the provider office furniture. It's not gonna be anything extravagant, it's just some basic desks. There's already a countertop with some drawers and some shelving that are part of the Ledgewood project. So,
Is there much to move from here to there, from what you have in this health center to that room?
there's really not any big furniture.
Great.
There's a lot of like
Paperwork.
stock items. There's a
Yeah.
bedroom upstairs in the apartment that's chock-a-block full of equipment and items. And the storage room in the new building is gonna be just a wonderful change. We're
Great.
gonna do just metal shelving, and Odessa's in charge of that. So she's in the process of we don't wanna, what our struggle is now is when we order equipment, like all the office chairs came in, we didn't really have anywhere to put them. So we cleaned out the trailer out back
Oh,
and
cool.
those, Beth and Odessa moved them in there. So it's kind of timing.
Yeah, right.
We can't really move anything in there
So
April,
you,
so that's gotta be May.
do you think there's any, you'll have to shut down at all for the transition, or?
I think we'll always have the availability to see urgent patients.
You're gonna keep one room here stocked, fill everything in?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, we have plenty of duplicates and plenty of new equipment, so that won't be a problem.
Okay.
No, and then we'll have to talk with Paige, for a date to turn over the phones. To see when the best time for that to happen.
this may be a question for Janet or both of you. Is there a grand opening or anything like that? Maybe it's a question for Leslie.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you wanna talk about the
Randall,
grand opening? Well, is this a good time for me?
I asked the
finish
question.
that?
yeah,
Well, Darren and I put our heads together and all of this is completely tentative, but Dory has seen it. And Janet's seen it and in principle, everybody is in agreement. Our thought is that we would have two openings, one in early June and one in July for summer arrivals. And the real opening would be on a Monday, June 2nd. And it would begin, the first half hour would be the ribbon cutting. And we would have it would be chaired by Shay, who has agreed to do it. And it would be attended by select board members, health center staff, the town administrative staff, representatives from Stephen Blatt Architects, and members of the Municipal Building Project Committee and the Municipal Building Project Campaign Committee. And they would just stand in front, just in the parking lot, just in front of the building. And Shay would thank the appropriate people, and then she and or Lauren would cut the ribbon, which will be tied to the front porch. And then those who had not seen the building would take a tour. And our thought about the tours is that you would have a maximum of 10 people and you would have guides. And they would be trained by Dory and to say the right things about the right rooms. And then a tour would be 10 or 15 minutes, not long. Then at 10 o'clock, that starts at 9. And somebody who saw this, a community member said 9's too early, so I may want to make it a little later. But the thought is to have that first part at 9, And then at 10, and from 10 to 4, there would be tours of the building all day for Osborne community members. Same deal, of groups of 10 with guides and an hour off for lunch. And it would be done in ways that, for instance, when we came for our COVID shots, we were told what time to come. Well, this, we would do the same thing so that not everybody comes when they go to pick up their mail. It would just be if you were from, your last name started from A to E, you come from 10 to 11, etc. That it would be go all day except for lunchtime, and Dory had a great idea, which was to have food. And so, either
Snacks, yeah.
in the parking lot, and if the weather's bad, then it would be in the firehouse. So I think that will work, and then our second.
Considered inviting Senators Collins and King.
Oh, should we invite Senators Collins and King?
We thought we would not get into sort of off-island visitors, but if people feel that we should, I mean, Dory had an idea to ask Dr. Shaw to come.
Oh, and that would be a dream.
Yeah, we all love him.
We.
But our thought was to keep, this is such a community project. And so many people from the community have been involved with it and have contributed to it, that was our focus.
I agree.
So if you think, but if anybody has any strong feeling about getting an outside speaker, we certainly could. But
We just talked it over a lot and thought that most all the community is pretty eager to see what's going on and what they paid for. And we would make it as happy and as focused as we can.
Okay.
Versus having
Yeah.
people talk.
Linda and Dory, this is Lauren. I'm just thinking, you might want to add somewhere in there, the work that Cressica did on the congressional directed spending grant. I'm not sure how you would want to do that, but certainly that was an incredible contribution to the whole project.
Yeah,
you'll tell me what you said.
Okay, is there any more on the health center project?
That's it.
If not, we'll move on to the Up Island Public Safety Garage. I see Steve is on there. Do you have an update for us, Steve?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now we can.
No, I don't have an update today. I'm waiting to, the main thing we're looking for is to get, final number. And once I have that, then, I'll present to the board. I didn't expect to have it this week, but, maybe by the end of the week. So that's all
Okay.
I have.
Steve,
right.
I think this group has not heard the work that you've done to bring this through the select board. Maybe you could just say a word or two about how you got into where we're closing in on a contract, and I think that's a lot of people
Okay.
that are in the meeting do not know how close you are to the whole process. So just back up just a little bit and share what you've done to bring us this far.
Well, it's you and I and Peter. I mean, it's been a great group. So going back maybe a month, we were kind of an inflection point where the obvious with the current administration and tariffs, all of a sudden the cost of steel was going to be going up. We knew that there was a 6% raise in the price. And 3 meetings ago, we had determined that the select board in whole did not feel comfortable in purchasing the building independent of having the final numbers from from the architect, and the final numbers. So, but in the following 2 weeks, not only was the 6% facing us, but there was going to be a 14% increase on the cost of the building. So that required us to make a business decision as to, was it prudent to move forward with acquiring the buildings, with the idea that we would put a deposit down on that and move forward, which we all approved. That was the right move to move forward. In addition to that, and subsequent to that, in these last 2 weeks, we also received some additional donations that provided a cushion and it was designated for the Up Island Safety Building specifically, which gave us the additional cushion where we could absorb some minor or some increase in the change orders that were required because the Stephen Blatt had, because of all the changes we made, had additional changes to the drawings. Specifically, we went from, what are the heaters? I forget the electronic, Lauren, what are?
Heat pumps.
Heat pumps. The
Pumps.
community was very concerned about using heat pumps instead of the in-ground radiant heat to make sure that the water in the fire engines would warm up faster and those sort of things. So it was determined that that was a requirement, along with some other minor changes. That also provided us with the ability to go from 400 amp service down to 200 amp service. So there was some economies to that change, but there was also additional drawings. That final number is what I spoke to a minute ago that I didn't have. We did get an estimate on that, and that estimate and the reduction all was within parameters where we felt comfortable as a select board to go ahead and recommend moving forward with the project, and that was voted on and approved at last Wednesday evening's meeting. So we are moving to contract phase now, and the requirement is to get the final numbers in and put that all in contract form to have our attorneys review that. And I'm expecting that to be at the next select board meeting. So Lauren or Pete, what have I left out, please?
No,
That's a
did
good update.
you did a great job. And it's been quite a hard ride. And boy, Steve, you've done a brilliant job. You want to add anything, Pete?
No,
Are we seeking any money from the town?
No, there's no additional
Why?
funds required from the town at all.
Great. Thank you.
We actually did one of these, except I've told that's old school, so I can't do that anymore after.
any other questions about the Up Island Garage?
Do you know when it will start being built?
No, so as soon as so the building is now on order. And once we get the final contract, that will contain the statement of work.
Yeah.
For the length of time and everything, we'll have to pick, the start date on that, but that will be part of the update.
Hopefully the contract signed before town meeting.
Yes. Yeah, I will push professionally to have that done.
Okay. Next is renovations to this building once the health center moves into the new building. And we have Laura and Michael here with us to, hopefully you can give us a little rundown on what you've been working on and.
And thank you.
to have another copy? Yeah. All right, I have a large version and I have.
Is there a table to put it on so people can see it? Sure.
I can use that one. So let me start off.
Let the camera see it.
Yeah, Dory, you can have one. I did. I got another one for you. I put on my note. Anyway, we had, Michael and I were asked by Lauren, and Pete to, work with Fred and Mert in, oh, that's wonderful. Now, let me get started on that.
There's something else that we can modify.
Not a problem. I will just use the back end of this.
Would you like this?
Oh, are you gonna play Vanna for me?
I play a vowel.
Yeah, where's the gown? Alright. Thank you. Not my first rodeo, we've done this before. Alright, anyway, to start off, we were asked by Lauren and Pete, and Janet as well, to take some time and speak with Fred and Mert about their specific needs, requirements, wish lists, and so forth. And out of that discussion, very lengthy one, and we spent some time in the building. There were three key things that we talked about, and one is security, the second is accessibility, and the third is functionality. Not in any particular order, but the security, of course, is a very important issue because not only are the personnel in here required to maintain the integrity of the security of the building. We also have individuals coming into the building during the course of the day, whether it's for interviews or individuals going through the training sessions and so forth. So we wanted to make sure that all aspects of entrances of the building are going to be addressed. So we recognize that, some key things like changing locks and so forth. We did learn that there is the drug closet that you currently have access to, which is located here. We'd like to maintain the alarm system in there so that it functions properly for the evidence locker, as an example. So there are things that are going to be located in this facility that really are supposed to be hands off to anyone other than Fred, Mert, and whoever their designated personnel are. When we leap into the accessibility, one of those peculiar things, according to the federal regulations and the ADA requirements, is as soon as you start touching anything, the first 20% has to go towards accessibility requirements, whether it's an accessible ramp to get you into the building or accessible features such as, an ADA compliant toilet room or kitchen, whatever. So all those facets we are addressing. I'm not going to go into the specific details with everyone right now because this is going to be a work in progress. But I will say that we have been in touch. We reached out to a fellow consultant that we've worked with for many years, who is an expert in ADA compliance and in fact has been responsible for writing a lot of the legislation. And we feel it appropriate to tap his brain cells to help guide us as to which aspects we need to address first and whether we can utilize some of the elements that are currently in place if we don't touch them. And I'll give you a quick example. There is a ramp that provides entrance to the front door of this particular building. However, it's not code compliant. If we touch it, it has to be code compliant. However, we're not exactly sure if we can leave it exactly that way. So this is where we have to dovetail the expertise of this particular individual to help guide us so that our dollars are well spent. We'd much rather be working on the ADA compliant bathroom with the new shower facility, update the kitchen that Mert is very eager to have transformed into this space. So all these things we're going to be massaging as we go through the design process and continue our communications. And of course, the key thing is the functionality. What we've done here in the red is identify some of the new partition, facilities so that we can enlarge the training center, which was a key aspect of the whole reason for this renovation. The fact that we have an interview room that will now be, sound insulated, Fred is extremely pleased about that, so he doesn't have to use his car anymore for private conversations, especially on the phone and so forth. So this is going to be a very welcome addition. We had tentatively shown a secondary ADA compliant toilet room, which had been part of an initial program that was discussed previously. We have learned that that's probably a redundant item, which is a good thing because every bathroom is gonna run anywhere between $20,000 to $30,000. And if we can save that money, that's wonderful. And in our discussions with Janet about the relationships between the municipal portion of the building, the town portion and the public safety portion, we can simply utilize the existing toilet room. We did take a preliminary review of that that space that is, and it appears to meet the ADA space requirements. So as long as we can address some of the fixtures that are in there, I think we can accommodate that and, you know, thereby save considerable dollars and focus our attention on some of the other things that are critical. One of the things that we did bring up in the prior meeting was how are we going to implement all of this? We know that there's going to be a major move. The health center is extracting themselves somewhere in the vicinity of June 1st-ish. And of course, Mert and Fred are very eager to move into the offices that will be vacated. The balance of the renovation probably won't be initiated until number one, the drawings are done, so that's going to be important. But secondly, we talked about the process of doing that. And one of the things we suggested to the smaller group, the focus group, I guess you can call it that, is to try to, we're designers. And, you know, we've had a lot of experience, but there's one thing that we've learned over the years is these contractors know what they're doing. And sometimes they come with better mousetrap. And we'd like to avail ourselves of that opportunity to help save money and move this along. So that would open up the opportunity to have those discussions with identified individuals, which we can pursue with this group as we move forward. So, one other thing, we did in fact, speak with a structural engineer. We had mentioned this at the prior meeting. Because this is a public safety building in accordance with the building code, it's a category 4 building, which means that its requirement is of a greater intensity, if you will, than a simple garage, for example, or a residential building. And our intention is to have the structural engineer take a look at this, evaluate it in accordance with category 4. We're not anticipating a lot of changes, but we just want to have the assurance from a professional's point of view that this building will serve its purpose. And we also want to make sure we don't take out any walls willy-nilly that have anything, you know, integral related to them. We don't think so. We think we're fairly confident how this building is put together, but, you know, having those extra pair of eyes is always a good thing. We did talk about, you know, some various things like finishes and so forth. We'll be spending time with Fred and Mert and Carrie, moving forward, you know, once we've gotten a better handle of what we want to accomplish. And so we'll start laying out, you know, information of materials and so forth and help them structure a schedule. And so that's something that we'll work on with.
The big finish is paint.
Paint, yes. In fact, there's a saying in our industry, you know, because everything starts with, you know, grandiose ideas. And, you know, I should be saying this because we know we started out with that with the Up Island building and so forth. But there's a saying in this facility, it ain't final until it's vinyl. So our hope is that we can streamline it, keep it, I'll call it cost effective, and work with the team to move that ball forward.
We're trying to avoid a bid,
Yeah. And that's
because as soon as you trigger a bid,
Yeah,
it puts on us a lot of expense to create documents for that, which you don't want to pay
Right.
Yeah.
because you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And, you know, based on the experience that we've had or seen with this building and the Up Island building, there's not a bunch of people standing in line to make bids, especially on little projects like this, which are, you know, really very small. So
Yep.
our hope is we can break this into 3 or 4 chunks and do it that way.
Is there removal of walls in this?
Yes, there's some demo, there's some ceiling demo, there's you know, we have to redo some sprinkler systems. There's more to it than you first think of.
Sure.
You know, there's gonna be flooring that has to be addressed.
Yeah.
All kinds of little things. It adds up.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be cheap.
Not what we have budgeted.
And then ceilings don't line up.
You know, and then, of course, the discerning question that someone is gonna have to make, because you don't want us to make it, because we're architects, is what are you willing to live with in
Right.
terms of if the ceilings don't line up? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
We don't care.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be in there.
Big beams.
You gotta ask Fred.
Oh, Carrie,
You
it's
gotta
up to
ask Fred.
Carrie.
No, it's up to Fred.
We'll get sunglasses for everybody.
we're trying to find the most efficient way to get from point A to point B without spending an extra dollar. And,
It's a good attitude,
you know,
I think.
but you still want to get what you need, so.
Yeah.
Anything would be better than what they have now.
So what I did share with everyone was a brief memorandum, you know, and some of it is now out of date, meaning, you know, we've elected to eliminate this secondary ADA compliant toilet room. I've continued to show it on this plan merely to recognize that it does in fact fit in that space. If in the future we ever wanted to add another one, we always can do that. Our preference is, you know, to eliminate it. So as we update the drawings, that will be shown in that fashion. Other than that, I did overlook the fact that, you know, we have an EOC, an Emergency Operations Center that Fred was very anxious to enhance, if you will, because currently everyone is squozed into, you know, something a little more than a coat closet. And unfortunately, with climate change, all kinds of other things, we want to make sure that the facility is satisfactory and provides the appropriate space for the individuals to do their job properly when the conditions warrant it. So we've made acknowledgement that with certain new wall locations, we've identified that we have to enhance the electrical wiring. You know, some of those things are going to be something to put on your tab. And then, of course, we wanted to make sure that the kitchen was adequate so that we can continue to do that wonderful July 4th cookout, among other things. So I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any
So much.
questions? Any questions about this project?
Any questions are welcome, and we'll gladly answer them at any time.
Thank you very much.
I know,
Thank you.
been great.
Next on the agenda is nomination of a new building committee member. Steve, has Steve already left us?
Yeah, you're gonna be the chair.
Steve has left us unfortunately, I think.
So moved.
And
Yeah.
he's done a lot of hard work to help us
Keep him, put him in.
push through the
Oh, he's
Up Island.
volunteered while he's not here?
Yeah.
So
Make a nomination
Bill made a motion.
to have Steve on our
I'll
board.
second it. Those in favor? Aye.
I,
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Unanimous. Good, thank you.
We will, of course, we need to take this nomination to the select board and they make the appointment.
Yep. Any other comments or questions?
I have one little item for me, and this is an idea that Janet had, which was to produce a little video that could be shown on the town website of the interior of the health center,
Mhm.
so that people who were away or anything could get a sense of it. Which I think is a great idea. We have the money for it to do whatever. We'll get one of our filmmakers
on.
I did
items.
email Michael Hutcherson,
Michael Hutchinson.
but I haven't heard back from him,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah, and we have the money to take.
Right.
I wonder if we could do a contrast and compare. You know, show where we started, where
Yeah.
it's like working down.
Yeah, did
Great idea.
We did have that first one
Yeah, from the original,
from the original
That's
meeting.
right.
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah,
We do.
Yeah.
Odessa climbing up and the
Yeah.
pharmacy
yeah.
and,
That'd be great.
Yes, we could do something nice.
yeah, oh, sure.
He'd like to edit.
That would be great.
I'll email him again, because that, like, that time is coming up.
Anything else? Hearing nothing?
Excellent.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All those in favor? Aye.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Continued recovery.
Is the center open right now? So we like to just go in the trauma room and.
Good to
just
see everyone.
Fine, Lauren, he's coming home.
The first part of May, you know,
Around May 10th.
around May 9th.
Oh, geez.
You haven't missed anything.
Wow.
Oh.
Is it warm there?
It's lovely.
Yeah, I thought so. Good.
Thanks, everybody.
I have.